really good tip that I would give for people that are worried, hey, as soon as I scale up, why is the offer falling in terms of conversion? It's something where that visitor message fit doesn't really scale as the traffic scales. One of some of the easier ways that you can do it qualitatively, surveying these people midway in the video and stuff like that, obviously incentivize them, give them a call, incentivize them with a gift or something like that. So you can give them a call and see what kind of lost their interest along the way and kind of do a larger sample size on that. I would also say people who find that their offers tend to fall off in conversion, especially as they scale, keep the creative copy fresh.
Welcome to today's VidTal podcast, and in this episode, we're going to go deep with the founders of SiteMana to learn how leveraging artificial intelligence can transform your lead generation and boost your bottom line. Specifically, we're talking about conversion rate optimization paired with some of the latest and most exciting developments in AI, machine learning. So SiteMana builds customized neural networks trained specifically on each client's business, which delivers far better performance than generic AI APIs. So on this call, you're going to discover the cutting-edge techniques SiteMana uses to identify the 5% of website visitors most likely to convert based on hundreds of data points that they collect. You're going to hear how their customized AI outperforms generic tools by being tailored specifically to each client's business. Plus, we're going to go over some tactics you can start applying today with or without AI tools to actually optimize your on-site experiences and increase intent and performance by understanding and emulating the journeys of your highest value customers through segmentation and testing. So don't miss this exclusive look at how AI is powering an explosive growth for direct response companies. The strategies shared will help you immediately refine your targeting, messaging, and creative testing to attract more of your ideal customers than ever before. All right, so let's tune in and learn from the SiteMana founders, and let's get started. All right, welcome to today's VidTal podcast. This is VidTal co-founder Ian Naj. And before we get into the content for today, just wanted to let you know that right now you can try VidTal, our YouTube ad library with over 7 million indexed, unlisted YouTube ads and landing pages and funnels for free. You can try for free for 7 days. Just go to vidtao.com, vidtao.com, and check it out. This podcast is also sponsored by Inceply.com. Inceply is a direct response video advertising agency, and it's generated over $950 million in direct response revenue for Inceply's clients via video platforms like YouTube, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Meta, and more. They're experts in both producing high-performing direct response video creatives and also scaling the ad accounts themselves, so expert media buyers, and very important, custom deep data analysis to make sure your tracking and attribution is 100% rock solid and tailored to your unique business and funnels. So if you're already spending at least $1,000 per day on ads and looking to take your results to the next level on platforms like YouTube, YouTube Shorts, Connected TV, and more, go ahead and claim a free brainstorm session with the Inceply team. Just go to inceply.com/vidtal. That's INCEPTLY.com/vidtal and claim a free brainstorm session. And just so you know, this is not a sales call. On this brainstorm session, the Inceply team will work with you to uncover insights you and your team can use to unlock new opportunities and scale on video traffic platforms. Just go to inceply.com/vidtal to claim your spot. All right, welcome to today's show. We have Latian and Peter from SiteMana, and we're going to be talking about how to get better quality traffic, higher converting traffic using the power of AI and some really cool tools that these guys have built, but also just generally how to improve conversion, some best practices and stuff you can do right now, regardless of whatever tools you're using. So really excited to get into all that. But first of all, so, okay, Latian, you're calling from China, right? Whereabouts are you located right now?
That's correct. I'm in Shanghai at the moment.
Shanghai, cool. How many people are in Shanghai? How many million people are in Shanghai?
Gosh, 24 million and decreasing as 2023.
That's insane. That is insane. 20. That's unbelievable. We were talking about like double New York, right? It's insane.
Oh gosh, I think that's almost triple, but yeah.
Triple, that's insane. That's crazy. And then Peter, where are you calling him from?
I'm from San Francisco, so
yeah, the heart of the tech world.
Yep.
Yeah.
where everyone is building some form of AI now.
Yeah.
And last year, everyone was building Web3.
The same guys, same people who were Web3 experts a year ago are now AI experts.
Yep.
No, well, and I know, humble guys here, but Peter, I remember the first time you and I chatted, I did some research on stuff that you've been doing. You've been involved in AI for many, many years. I think you were doing like some crazy AI Internet of Things automated whatever it was like 10 years ago. So I know this is not your first rodeo in the AI space.
Yeah, I'm like one of the OG AI now because I was being part of the Intel software integrator since like 2014. And then I was basically, when I first started building stuff, it was almost like using AI to detect like whether you're drowsy, much deep learning. My previous startup, and then using AI to detect like skin cancers, and then eventually I was using AI to detect like water contamination. And then my last startup was using AI for the whatchamacallit, for the yoga poses. And these are compared to like machine learning, this stuff like machine learning when you start dealing with it is almost like it's almost like elementary school when you when you already dealt with deep learning and generative AI.
So this is child's play for you guys at this point.
Yeah, it's just because the numbers you need to crunch is such like it's so it is so straightforward. Then because when you're dealing with the pixels, you have to deal with a lot more. Yeah, you basically have to you have to go multiple layers, and then you have to figure out how to make that more efficient, right? Because you have to go to like deep learning first, and then you use machine learning to run down on deep learning, which was much more complex and not that straightforward. And the most important part is not something you can just Google and get an answer.
Mm. So you can't build it with ChatGPT's assistance.
Yeah, yeah, it's a little more harder. And ChatGPT these days, you gotta bend, you basically gotta be arguing with the ChatGPT for a while. That basically again requires expertise again. The whole point that you're trying to do is not someone without the expertise and do it right away,
Got
and
it.
that's much more difficult.
I think, in just for some more background, what I thought was really cool is you and I we had great dinner in Lisbon around what was it about a year ago, almost a year ago, for Web Summit, that gigantic startup conference. And I remember you were telling me something interesting. How basically you mentioned this Intel accelerator thing, where basically, I mean, what is this Intel accelerator thing that you were part of? And then also, obviously it led to you guys have this company now with you got backing from TechStars and everything else. But I'm curious about this Intel situation. I thought that was really interesting.
So it's the program is called the Intel Liftoff. It used to be called one API for startups. So they launched this program specifically to, again, specifically helping startups that leverage Intel technology. As you know, recently Intel pretty much launched their own GPU line, like cloud GPU line, and then in AI, we're really just eating up GPU power. Finally, in a way which people can use, like this stuff is a lot more exhaustive in terms of processing than what mining Bitcoin does. For best example, if you were to run a LLM on 15 billion, you would need at least two of those. You would need at least like 80 gigabyte of your of memory, GPU memory, not just like normal memory. And those things are getting more and more scarce, I would say, just because now everyone's trying to spin up different type of LLM models, and especially like towards their own. The one of the issues that you when you use open tech, like when you use like ChatGPT, is that as a person it's very fine for you to use it because it's meant for individuals to use. But the thing is, as a company, when you're trying to process like 100,000, 200,000, or in our case, a couple million records every single day, you can start seeing the limit. Like they throttle you. You can only run 5 to 10 queries at a time, and then you have to count down like how many, and then that often runs like around like 10 to 20 seconds, right? So you have to count down like how many of these I can run, and do I have to stack API keys, or like it doesn't make any sense. So you're like, okay, like easiest way is actually for me to build my own LLM around it. And then now it's like the new question comes in, like how do you build your own LLM, and this is how you can see. But this is just our use case. But there's other use cases like, hey, what if you have a law firm and then you need to generalize the entire everything internal. Right? Internal, like, this stuff is not something you can ask ChatGPT for, but like your internal law firm. Then there's other use cases like medical research. Again, you don't want your like your data to be out in the public.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's kind of like, again, building their own in a way. And there are also a bunch of people. As you know, you can use ChatGPT to basically generate text as well as code now.
Mm-hmm.
But what if somebody wants to generate charts, right? I want a chart, da 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 da. And so that's creating an entire different industry that's based on text-based AI, the generative AI that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them is the interesting part is some of them will have to interact with each other.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, like I don't have skills to generate like charts. That stuff will again take me a bit to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then somebody else is to generate chart. Then we can basically use their like how do I really leverage their stuff to generate charts for me inside the email and such, or generate an image inside the email I'm just saying like generate as a whole. You don't use multiple LLM to do it. It's just one single, because the clients don't care. Clients care what works.
Right. Gotcha. And so that's an amazing advantage that you guys have, is that, you're not just plugging into publicly available LLM APIs. You're actually building your own custom solution basically from scratch, and we're taking what's out there and customizing it, having it internal. But I mean, okay, so what exactly in the team? You've been in this game for a long time, the direct response marketing game, and how did you guys get together and come up with this idea for SiteMana, and what problem is it solving?
Yeah, very originally. I mean, I know you and I, Ian, we go back in terms of direct response across, so many different verticals. One of the things that was of large fascination a couple of years back was how do we take the testimonials that a direct response site has or an e-commerce site may have? How do we take that and how do we match it to the right visitor? So there's a concept in psychology known as the mirror effect, where if I see someone like myself, characteristically, whatever those traits might be, and that person is a testimonial demonstrating good results for whatever product it is on the site, statistically, I would actually be more likely to purchase than, let's say, if I saw a testimony of someone who is characteristically very, very different than myself in whatever ways I consider of myself. So those things can be, age, gender, interests, certain ways of talking, whatever it might be, ethnicity, etc. So what we wanted to do at first is basically, because we were able to detect the visitor coming to a certain website or coming to a certain offer, we can detect, their age, gender, all these other characteristics. Why not serve up the matching, most relevant and potent testimonial for that person? So let's say a 70-year-old, 75-year-old grandmother would also see someone of another cohort, very similar cohort in terms of gender, age, and other traits, also talking about why the product is good, as opposed to seeing, just a random, 18-year-old male who talks about that product. So based on that, that's how kind of we got into this, leveraging AI specifically to be able to match the right testimonial with the right visitors. Eventually, it just, people wanted an even shorter, more direct route to the value proposition of actually just getting leads, whether these leads are emails or phone numbers of the actual visitors. And more importantly, the fact that we use AI to filter these leads down to the top 5% hot and ready to buy types. That's what we really focused on after so much dissection into what users want, basically.
Got it. So you're able to basically identify from whatever traffic's coming to a site, you're able to identify the top 5% most ready to buy prospects. Correct. Amazing. With the help of AI.
Yep. So just to clarify, like right in the beginning, was what people were asking us to do was basically just like, we were giving people the options for just like, it's like a grandma comes to your website and grandma will give you a testimonial. If like Indian guy come to your website, an Indian guy will give you a testimonial. Like Asian guy comes to the website, like around the age range, and then we we're doing that basically where we're using this stuff to get a lot of different signals to get the social media, and we were pulling whatever photo we can out of the social media, and then we use that photo to compare to your testimonials photo. So whoever that's a mirror effect. Whoever you can be like a Indian guy, but then if you look like a white person, the facial structure that guy, because you essentially are looking at yourself giving a testimonial. And the problem we found was that it's not the technology worked, but the problem was the testimonial given to us to test with was such crap, and then we're like this can't convince anybody. Like this is just like really really crappy testimonials, and then we're like, okay, how about we build a testimonial for you? And we found out that's just another startup. Like just because you have to figure out who to give testimonials, I'm like, okay, let's push it further. How about you give us a text, and then we'll AI generate a video for you in the testimonial, right? And then we're like, okay, that's again, because this was 2 years ago. And now you think about it, was even today's technology, you still can kind of see this is the video is still, you can see this is AI generated. It's not like, again, it's not genuine. And then we're like, okay, like have to scrape this. We have to return a bunch of people's money. That was, and then a lot of our people were like, hey, weren't you using email to get those information? And we're like, yeah. They're like, hey, can't you just give us the email? So I literally ripped like 80% of the code out. I'm like, here you go. This is much more easier. And then eventually you found out, it's like, oh, hey, we can use the same tech to basically get you higher quality leads rather than just give you raw everything.
Oh, so that's fascinating how you've gone through these few pivots, big pivots, it sounds like. And so I'm just curious, just like devil's advocate here, with all the sort of privacy first stuff being pushed, like obviously GDPR and then Apple's announcements, etc. Do you see that affecting your ability to source this kind of data, or is that something you've already kind of tackled?
This kind of have already been done through not just us, it's through just the entire advertising industry. So there's two ways to really look at this, and to say this politically correctly without pissing anyone off. But it's that anonymity. Unless anonymity generally is paired with fraud, and then also the targeted advertising is also basically it's essentially this is we're using exact same technology that Google, Facebook, Amazon, and Microsoft, which owns LinkedIn. And if you really look deeper, they can do this like much better than what we do in terms of retargeting. It's just the fact that they start providing you this highly correlated emails, and they will lose majority of their revenue. So we're basically tackling this the same way. We're actually like the one that's helping. It's the same power. Like this is what Facebook, you can only retarget on Facebook. They put a Facebook pixel. Because like Google, they only can retarget Google through Google Pixel, and similar you go towards that way. So we're basically trying to give the power of the gods, to normal shoppers. Because if you add anything on Amazon, just add anything on Amazon, right? And then just wait for 2 days. I guarantee you'll get like one of the say you forgot the stuff in your cart email.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's crazy. So, okay, so basically finding the top 5% of your most hot, ready to buy potential customers. I mean, okay, for people, obviously this is a huge topic, lead quality, etc. So for folks out there who want to have something to test like straight away, they're DIY type of people, like what are some strategies? Obviously you guys have been dealing with a lot of customers who are trying to tackle this. What are some strategies that people can apply right now themselves without external tools to actually help achieve that result, or at least get, more results that align with what they want?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways that I would do it manually, for example, because a lot of times, even me, like before, I like to do it like DIY. I would break it down into kind of two categories. The first category is based on the behavior, behavior of that visitor on the website. So typically, if it's a repeat visitor, or if the visitor has, let's say, watched the VSL or the video, or read through the long form copy up to a certain point or has watched the video for X amount of minutes. Um, so to qualify that lead, if you want to like DIY it, I would say, one of the, some of the easier wins is just making sure you only restrict to collecting the lead after they've watched the video, whether through an opt-in or something like that, like an opt-in form, past a certain number of minutes, or you can use, let's say, Google Tag Manager, see if it's basically based on based on the analytics. If it's a repeat visitor, only then pop up an opt-in form to basically capture what we call the top 5%. The other category I would say is you want to kind of know based on who that person is, their past, we call it, let's say past visits. And you can do this, even within, affinity audiences or, obviously you can do it with, obviously it's arguable whether you can use the placements feature, for example. What you want to do is you want to find if that person has, been to similar sites that kind of pre-qualify them to be a high AOV potential buyer with likely high intent. Obviously, take a look at some of the past sites that they've gone around, use tools like Similar Web, things like that, and see characteristically if that person is kind of matches some of the most potent high intent buyers. Obviously, you can look into other things like, for example, if you're checking their age group, parental status, income, gender, etc. These things all come into play, I would say. So really playing with that. And I know another thing that really, I know Ian, you've always talked about is a lot of times from a DIY perspective, offers tend to they wonder, hey, it'll fall off in conversion, especially once they scale, or after a certain amount of time, the conversion kind of falls off. I would also say these factors come into play. So you're really either changing the message, which is the offer, or you're really changing the nature of the visitor through, whether through, the affinity audiences, placements, as well as, adjusting when you want to capture based on the on-site behavior, repeat visits, and things like that. I would say another really good tip that I would give for people that are worried, hey, as soon as I scale up, why is the offer falling in terms of conversion? It's something where that visitor message fit doesn't really scale as the traffic scales. Some of the easier ways, obviously, you can do it qualitatively, surveying these people, midway in the video and stuff like that. Obviously, incentivize them, give them a call, incentivize them with a gift or something like that. So you can give them a call and see why exactly, what kind of lost their interest along the way, and kind of do a larger sample size on that. I would also say people who want to, people who find that their offers tend to fall off in conversion, especially as they scale. Keep the creative copy fresh, I would say. And I know that sounds, what was really funny is back in the day, before all these tools like AI have come out and stuff, we used to have this, it was almost this, for the lack of a better term, almost this intuitive mystical thinking. We'd always say, hey, if you want the copy good again, you just got to change it up, freshen it up a little bit. Whether even if that's like a headline refreshment, or if it's just, something critical, or if it's like the first image on that VSL, something there, as long as you change it, it tends to kind of tweak and re-energize the results. So those are some things you can kind of experiment with, I would say.
Nice. Very cool. Yeah, definitely take some notes and try those approaches out for sure. And then, I mean, just how do you actually mechanically, or for the layperson, how are you actually finding this top 5% of the best leads? I mean, what criteria are you using to actually identify that when it comes to, your actual tool that you guys are building and have built, and you're already running this for a number of clients very successfully? Like, how, just for us dumb people who aren't building LLMs, on our sleep like you guys, How does it work? Like what goes into
So,
it?
so in well, that's just like because AI is sort of mystical in terms for people outside of the industry, but what it really comes down to, including LLM or what we do, is essentially if you think about what human logic comes down to, right? If you want it to be like, hey, you want a visitor to visit at least 5, 10 times, and then they clicked on at least on certain things, like you even can limit it. It's like, hey, person clicked on, I'm really interested, big red button, and the person who have like visited like specific page, how many pages, and they scroll through, they basically they spend like 10 seconds time. If you were to write that in human logic, right, like the person has visited 10 times, you have came to at least on this page, you come from UTM this, you have basically clicked on this red button, and then you have spent at least 25 seconds on. I'm just giving you 5 parameters. That's the 5 parameters, and this is what human logic is. And what the AI logic is basically is like you punch in tons of like data of people converted and people who have not, and then you basically route through there, like you let the AI build its own logic rather than the human go in and like, hey, you have visited this. That's the difference between AI and the human. Because when yeah, I can give you 5 parameters, you can probably write around logic. What if I give you 200 parameters? They're tiny things like, hey, like there's in between visits, and how much tab do you have open, and all these, and as well as this online as well as offline data combined in. We use like 280 some parameters, punch in and punch out, and then just decide what to do. Similarly with LLM, you can write LLM based on those information. This guy 25, so that's you use a little hip words, and then the person is 60. We got to write it a little more differently. It's like, hey, dear sir, you use those more respectable language because this is what they normally see. But the thing is, similarly with AI, right? Because you punch in all this data in, and then the AI will decide, oh, you know what, this guy's 65, and then I'm gonna write it in a certain way.
Got it.
So that's how. But essentially, human. It's essentially human. It's human writing the specific algorithm rather than machine writing the algorithm. So that's just why it's easier first few days to you can calibrate a little bit. Like we with our customer, we'll always ask them to calibrate themselves a little bit, so then the AI can kind of learn what do you actually want, right? Because initially we would kind of use a generalized AI will work for everybody else, but that might not be specific towards you. So you can kind of like specifically, hey, what do you want? You can put the logic yourself.
And so basically, when you guys install this into a company, they're able to really dial in the specifics around who are the 5%, top 5% for their
Yeah, they
specific
can
business.
determine what that is.
Yeah,
And then
got it.
eventually machine will kind of like calibrate based on that. A machine will determine what the top 5%. Because you can even limit it down to top 1%.
Mhm.
A lot of our customers are like they have pretty giant size. They're like, hey, we don't even need the top 5%.
Mhm.
And you visit specific pages, like like in the cart pages,
Mhm.
checkout pages. If you visit those pages, your intent obviously much higher.
Yeah, makes sense. Very cool. So, I mean, in terms of how much data do you need actually to make this? Like, what metrics are the does the company need to actually really leverage this, and what kind of people are getting results? Would you say?
So the regular metric, I have an open source version. I have a guide under one API. Intel have entire, like I did an entire session on that, just on based on the basic of how this works, based on the how much visits, how long did you stay, and how much stuff you clicked. You can use that to like, this is just for anybody who wants to build a little AI. They can kind of follow my guide, and then obviously we're much more complex than that. But that you really just need about like 20, 30,000 in visitor data to really start building a model. Again, the model is more accurate because the thing is, auto deploy is what we deploy is kind of distributed. So essentially, everybody uses the same model in the beginning, and then eventually everybody gets like, once we have enough data from you, then we start building distributed model. Basically, only what works for you.
Mhm. Got it.
Right.
And then, are we talking about lead gen, strictly speaking, or are we talking about e-commerce or?
Does this work for e-com lead gen? You can, because it's essentially the model. You let the model do the work.
Uh huh.
because you just need whatever is original and whatever is post opt-in, right? And then from there you can kind of see the behavior. There is stuff that's a little more difficult to do if you're basically trying to, let's say if you're leading, if basically incoming coming from, let's say, like a YouTube ad, right? This is where you have to kind of leverage the UTM as part of the entire process. Because if the process come from, if the UTM come from the YouTube itself, then I know like this person have already watched the YouTube video, and then not me, I'm just AI already know that in some way that calculates does UTM have higher conversion rate than the others, and based on behavior that they click. Or you can do it yourself. Like, I only want UTM from this, and the UTM and state, like I only want stuff from, let's say, like Virginia. Somehow these are the signals that we kind of like. Again, you can write it yourself, or you can just let the AI do the work.
Got it. Very cool.
And writing it yourself really involves you go dig through your data and see what converts, what doesn't, and then you write it based on that. I mean, this is why it's like a easy way to explain this is you go to ChatGPT, you write an article, or you write an article yourself.
Okay. That's crazy.
It doesn't mean you cannot write your own article. It just means you want the ChatGPT to do. There's just too much parameters in there. Like, okay, just do this.
Yeah, exactly. Let the machines do it. So, just taking a different topic. So, it's crazy how you guys, you've been for 2 years. Again, you said you've had these multiple big pivots going from the customized testimonials, right? Which is a crazy cool. It was an amazing idea. Like people have been, dreaming up stuff like that for a long time, and you guys are actually obviously doing it. And then shelving that, and then going to another idea, and then now sort of your third big iteration. How has it been dealing with, you guys are involved with Techstars as an accelerator and backer. How has it been dealing with the sort of venture capital world in over the past 2 years as you've been morphing this idea into this current idea, which has so much momentum and is doing so well?
So VC money, if you can avoid it, it's a different network, right? Like if you can avoid major VC money, I would say avoid it. But it does help to have a network of people that's like actually that you can tap into at any time, and then basically utilize their resources in a way which I would say quite helpful. Because end of the day, like if you want to make a phone call, sometimes it's like people don't pick up and stuff like that. But if David Cohen needs to make a phone call, they definitely pick up. That's kind of the advantage that you have. But the disadvantage is that you are diluting yourself. So essentially what we actually did was we had to buy out my old startup in the entire situation, just so this way, because once you take, I think most people don't understand. Like at least in the valley, in the world, I think is a little better. They usually do not like to take, like you don't. First of all, it's a little difficult for them to get the money. Second of all, if they do, they kind of don't. They don't have this. I need the money to run the business. But in the Silicon Valley, you have this culture of like, okay, we need to get the VC money first before we even start the business. Which is you de-risk yourself in some way, but the second part is you getting VC involved. But most people don't understand here is that, dude, it's a debt. Anytime you take money, that's a debt. And then the part of being an entrepreneur is that you have to make sure that all debts are like everybody who ever give you money have to make a return on it. That's how this game works. And then I didn't realize, and then that when I did the last startup, and then the next thing you know is like you got to pay all your staff. And everyone wants to get a raise, and everyone wants, because they know they know you have like at least a couple $1 million in your head now. They're like, hey, how am I getting paid minimum wage when you have like a couple $1 million in the bank? It doesn't make any sense. And then the next thing you know, you pay them, but the debt is on you, because when the investor comes in, it's like, hey, like what are you doing? And the only way to get out of the debt is really just get a job at Google or something. Then you're like, oh, you know what? I'm an employee now. Right. Wow. If you were to do another startup, because these are the people who back you when you have nothing. I mean, do you have to like honestly ask yourself, do you really want to like I wouldn't use the word screw, but I'm just saying, do you really want to like, to do you really want to basically deal with the people that kind of help you the most when you need them the most, and then you're like, hey, you know what, you're gonna when you're up, you're kind of gonna get rid of these people.
Yeah.
And that's kind of a situation, and you only have one reputation to build. I mean, that's kind of once you get into venture business, it's like you start understanding. This is where when you bootstrap, you don't have that, you don't have that problem. But then again, also it's harder to build a reputation. The reputation is not based on how successful you are, but how much money you have made everybody else.
Mm.
But eventually, once you want to invest, like where do you go, right? Like it's not it's if you want to filter the startup like Techstars ecosystem, there's like they invest like 1,000 startup the entire year, like to even have access to that in the early stage. This is where the network really comes in really helpful.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of a long-term investment, I would say, like than short-term. Like, hey, I'm getting some money and some connections.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Well, I mean, in stepping to, where do you guys see yourselves having the most impact this next year for companies? Is there anything that jumps out in terms of case studies or success stories that you want to share before SiteMana, after SiteMana type of scenarios that you can share, so people get an idea of like, what kind of what all this tech can actually do for the bottom line of a business once you actually implement it, get it up and running, get that customized LLM firing on all cylinders.
There's two things we are kind of really focusing on. First is basically sharpen up our LLM so it can be at least comparable to GPT-4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna lie, because currently like our own LLM doesn't perform as good as GPT-4, and then and GPT-4 has have a lot of mistakes. That's just because the technology out there is just not mature yet. This is where, as in Silicon Valley, everything moves in 2 weeks span. 2 week span. So when you talk to someone's, hey, have you seen this chain lane that just came out 2 weeks ago? I'm like, dude, it's like it's kind of this how this at speed of this works. So like I think in 2 to 3 months we like because with all of our partners we should be able to get something that's like comparable, because we're pretty topic specific.
Mm-hmm.
Versus the generalized use of it. And the second is basically entire the ROI, we have already hammered that down. But the thing is, entire testing, making testing a lot more easier for our users to kind of see.
Mm-hmm.
So they can see direct results of their pre-SiteMana and then post-SiteMana.
Mm-hmm.
It provides a transparency layer using the tools that we provide.
Mm-hmm. Got it. But if anyone out there is looking to discover those 5% of best performing leads or customers, then you guys are ready to have a conversation potentially and see how you can work together.
Yeah, in this business, Letian.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's if anyone just can find us over at sitemana.com, SITEMANA.com. And we work with many direct response marketers, and really being able to filter down to the top 5% is what's kept them strong with the results that they've been eager to realize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think it's an amazing opportunity too, because I know you guys are so involved in every client that comes across your table now, because you're in the process of dialing everything in. So, I mean, getting a custom conversion focused LLM installed into your business for the purposes of driving more revenue from your best customers and getting more of those customers. I mean, that's an unbelievable opportunity where there's no way that you could go on, or it'd be very difficult to do this internally yourself with like going and hiring and doing this, like trying to figure out how to do this yourself. It'd be extremely difficult. So I think it's an unbelievable opportunity. And I think anyone who works with you guys is going to really learn a ton, both about the space. I mean, you guys are on the cutting edge of all this stuff, and also you're going to be able to see results in what this can do for your business. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity for anyone who's interested in getting better quality traffic and leads and all that. So yeah, I think it's extremely exciting. Yeah. So okay, so site SiteMana.com, right?
Yeah. And anyone who comes to us, we tend to have a really good habit of also, if they need other types of traffic sources, introductions like that, we always, especially in this day and age, sometimes when one major platform maybe has some, little hiccups here and there, it's always good to use multiple traffic sources and such. So, major and minor platforms, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Latine, you've been in the direct response game for a long time, so you got a lot of knowledge about all the different opportunities in terms of traffic, and it's cool that what you guys are doing is agnostic to the traffic source. It's just about getting that better converting traffic and converting it at a higher rate. So I think that's fantastic. But yeah, anything else that you guys think would be interesting to our audience to share?
Letian?
Well, I think, if anyone wants to have a free trial on some LLM, especially and kind of see a before and after, we're more than happy to work with them on that. And then I would say the other thing to really just keep focusing on testing and refreshing things, especially in this age where change comes at such a fast pace, where your audience is seeing so many new ads and the regurgitation of ads and creatives over and over and over again. And other people are also using AI tools as well to basically create another permutation or combination of those same things. So just remember, if you stand in the shoes of who's looking at your ads, you'll know what you're up against. And it's just it's just adapting to that new environment overall, I think, is a very important thing to note down mentally.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's great advice for sure. Well, Latine and Peter, great to chat. So anyone out there, you just heard what Latine said, so you can check out SiteMana.com and talk to them and talk about leveraging custom LLMs to get better converting traffic for your business. And what a fantastic opportunity. So take advantage. And guys, thank you so much for being on our show. Thank you for sharing all of your knowledge and your journey. And looking forward to our next conversation, hopefully soon.
Thank you, Ian, for having us.
All right. Thanks for checking out the show today. Remember that you can claim your 7-day free access to vidtao.com, our app with over 7 million unlisted YouTube ads, landing pages, and funnels. Just go to vidtao.com to start that free trial. This podcast is also sponsored by Inceptly.com. Inceptly is a direct response video advertising agency, and it's generated over $950 million in direct response revenue for Inceptly's clients via video platforms like YouTube, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Meta, and more. They're experts in both producing high-performing direct response video creatives and also scaling the ad accounts themselves, so expert media buyers, and very important, custom deep data analysis to make sure your tracking and attribution is 100% rock solid and tailored to your unique business and funnels. So if you're already spending at least $1,000 per day on ads and looking to take your results to the next level on platforms like YouTube, YouTube Shorts, Connected TV, and more, go ahead and claim a free brainstorm session with the Inceptly team. Just go to inceptly.com/vidtao. That's INCEPTLY.com/vidtao and claim a free brainstorm session. And just so you know, this is not a sales call. On this brainstorm session, the Inceptly team will work with you to uncover insights you and your team can use to unlock new opportunities and scale on video traffic platforms. Just go to inceptly.com/vidtao to claim your spot. All right. Thanks so much for checking out our show and being part of our community. Once again, this has been VidTao co-founder Ian Naj signing off. Have a great rest of your day, wherever you are in the world, and take care.